and view the object of the sub as sh. Okay, that's the basic the current sheet. All this does, it goes to that sheet, whatever that sheet is, takes its name, puts it into last sheet. So whenever I change a sheet, so I'm at blank sheet right now, right? I'm gonna go to Zecker. That code is activated. Okay. Now, if I go back from developer, hit macros, and pick my select last because it belongs to this one, or let's show code only for this workbook. If I run it, you're going to see that I went back to blank sheet. Okay. Now, if I run it again, it's going to go back to Zecker. The trouble is you don't want to have to go to developer macros all the time. So you want to create a shortcut. So here's my object or graphics. It could be an icon, it could be a picture, doesn't matter. If you click on that picture, right click on that picture, down here it says assign macro, all right? And I'm gonna click on the macro that I wanted to run whenever I click on that picture. Okay, now that I have assigned macro, for example, to these, I haven't assigned a macro yet. As you can see, my icon, it's still that cross sign. My pointer is still that cross sign. But I assign a macro to the U-turn. As soon as I hover around over U-turn, I have a little hand. Click, it runs that. I'm going to do the same thing on this one because I haven't assigned one to this one yet. Now all I have to do is go back and forth. If you have two sheets, obviously this is luxury. But suppose you have 20 sheets and you move to something that's not even visible, and you remember that you wanted to go back to the other one, you don't even remember where you were. But the way we constructed it, Excel now remembers it. Done. Yes, it's simple, but it's rather useful. Now, these two things, I'm going to write a little macro that's going to increase the zoom level by a certain amount. Let's do it by 10% each, okay? You could do 20, you could do 5. You know, I could change the zoom level from down here. If I want to go to, you know, 200, I can change that. But I want to do it in discrete increments. By the way, you could also change that by hitting Control mouse key. Okay, mouse up or down. Well, I like my stuff with macros, so I'm gonna go to Developer, Visual Basic. I'm still on my module 1. By the way, you could also name those modules. I'm gonna call that Basics. It's just like naming a notebook, right? Now I want to write a code that's going to improve the zoom level by 10. Since I already have it, in the interest of time, I'm going to get it from here, copy, and we'll go over what things mean. In the meantime, you guys can write it. Go to basics. For any sub, you're going to give it a name. Zoom bigger, you know, it's descriptive enough. Make it bigger. This next statement is not technically necessary, but it's always a good programming practice to type your variables. Okay, and the statement dim means I'm going to declare a variable called czoom, and I'm going to declare that as a double precision real number. That means it's a real number that's up to about 15 decimals precise. And now I'm saying make that czoom equal to, go to the active window, grab its zoom level. That's what active window.zoom means, and add 5 to it. And then make active window zoom czoom. In fact, I could have even written the whole thing without even czoom, but I like dividing things into pieces. So if there is an error, I can kind of debug it a little bit more easily. That's just a disciplined programming practice. Now I'm going to go back to my sheet. Not this one, the other one. You know, this plus button, right click, assign macro, zoom bigger. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Now, see, since I assign a macro to it, every time I do it by fives. If I want to change my opinion on that, let's make it by tens. Now, from now on, every time I click that button, zoom level is going to increase by 10. I could do the same thing here. All right. Yes. No. I mean, it is assigned to that name. If you change the macro, the reference is still to the name. You know, that's a good thing. Sometimes before you finalize the code, you just assign it, then you write the code. Sometimes you do it simple. You know, this code seems to be happens to be simple, but sometimes it's complicated code. But you don't have to change the reference anymore. I'm going to do the same thing for zoom smaller. In fact, all I have to do is copy that one, paste it. Instead of zoom bigger, I'm going to call that zoom smaller. Instead of plus 10, minus 10. Anytime you can reuse the text you already had, it's always a good idea to do so. Now I have zoom bigger and zoom smaller. Let's assign those as well. Assign macro, zoom smaller. Now I can make it smaller. Steps of 10 each. By the way, this being completely, background being white and no grid lines, that's by design. If you want to, under view, I have the grid lines checked now. I have the grid lines. But if for my own purposes I don't want it, just check those. You can also get rid of column headings and formula bar if need be. If you want to basically increase your real estate. Generally, I have those in. All right. Now, let's also do something about this plus button. This plus button is going to create a copy of itself. Okay. You create a copy of the existing file, existing sheet, into a new sheet. And I have the code for that as well. Let's see. Let me see. I can find a copy active sheet after itself. Okay.